You may be one of those people that think stink bugs are just a concern in corn, but they can be a yield robber of soybeans. This is Al Wood, Field Crops Extension Agent for the Pasture Extension Center with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. This video, Stink Bugs in Soybeans, will address the impact that stink bugs can have in soybeans, as well as provide basic information on the life cycles of stink bugs in general. Also, life stage information specifically for brown stink bugs, green stink bugs, and southern green stink bugs, which are the major stink bug pests of soybeans, will be provided, as well as types of damage to soybeans, scouting techniques, thresholds, and insecticide selection. This video is one of a three-part series. The other two videos are stink bugs, why they're concerned and getting to know them, and stink bugs in corn. Stink bugs are an economically important pest for corn in North Carolina, as has been documented by the survey conducted by Dr. Dominic Rixig during the 2020 Producer Winter Meeting season, but in recent years has also become an increasing problem in soybeans. In some cases, stink bugs have impacted the marketability of soybeans, although the increase in severity reflected in the amount of damage of a given field and frequency is indicated by the percentage of soybean fields impacted by stink bug damage is well known by growers and others of the agricultural community. The reason why has not been documented. I and probably others have asked Dr. Dominic the question, quote, why have stink bugs become more of a problem in soybeans, unquote. The answer by Dr. Dominic has been, quote, soybeans are one of the last crops still green on the farm, and as they leave other host crops, they go to soybeans, unquote. With the understanding that stink bugs can be a problem in soybeans, let's dive into the information about them. Stink bugs have piercing mouthparts and feed on fruits, nuts, tender terminals, blooms, pods, and developing seeds within pods. Some stink bugs will feed on other plant parts. When feeding, both adults and nymphs inject digestive saliva into the plant, which helps liquefy plant tissues for easy extraction by the bug. The salivary fluids causes direct tissue injury and also can carry bacterial organisms that grow within the seeds. Feeding may also create an avenue for pathogen entry into the plant. Germination and general seed quality can be affected by stink bug feeding. Additionally, feeding injury during early seed formation can result in aborted seeds and undersized deformed seeds. In this image, a spine soldier bug has its beak inserted in and feeding on a moth. Stink bugs are characterized as being plant feeders or predatory, which means they feed on other insects. There are even some stink bugs that feed on both plants and insects. As a general rule, beaks of predatory stink bugs are at least twice as thick as their antennae, while plant-feeding stink bugs are as thin or thinner than their antennae. This characteristic holds for adults and nymphs and can easily be seen with a hand lens. Now let's look at the life cycle of stink bugs in general, as well as the life cycle of the brown stink bug, green stink bug, and southern green stink bug, which are the major stink bug pests of soybeans for North Carolina. Stink bugs of the temperate region generally overwinter as adults in protected areas such as ditch banks, fence rows, underboards and dead weeds, ground cover, stones, and under the bark of trees. The winter is passed in a physiological state called diapause, a type of hibernation. They become active during the first warm days of spring when temperatures rise above 7 degrees Fahrenheit. In North Carolina, stink bugs develop as much or more on cultivated crops than wild host plants for the first generation as compared to some parts of the United States. Females lay barrel-shaped eggs in clusters on plant tissues, such as the undersides of leaves. After egg hatch, stink bugs develop through 5 instars prior to becoming adults. Approximately 4 to 5 weeks are required from hatching to adult emergence. There are two generations of stink bugs per year. Adults are strong flyers and will readily move between weeds and other alternate hosts. Stink bug adults and nymphs, except for first instars, actively feed on plant tissues. The first instars are generally considered a non-feeding stage and metabolize internal nutrient reserves. The adults and fifth instars often cause more injury than the earlier stages. These shield-shaped bugs can be found in soybeans across the state, but usually do not reach pest levels in areas outside of the mid and southern coastal regions and adjoining areas. Three kinds of stink bugs may become abundant in soybeans: the green stink bug, southern green stink bug, and brown stink bug, although you may also find brown marmorated stink bugs as well. Of the three species, the southern green stink bug has the greatest damage potential. However, overwintering southern green stink bugs are affected by cold weather and seldom become a problem in seasons following winters with temperature periods in the teens. The green and brown stink bugs are more cold hardy and are present each year. A single species is seldom a problem. However, as a complex of stink bugs, they may reach damaging levels. Let's first look at the life cycle of the brown stink bug. As with all stink bugs, the brown stink bug's eggs are barrel-shaped. The eggs are yellowish translucent, but their color starts turning towards a light pink before hatching. The nymphs develop through 5 instars that require about 29 days for development. They resemble adults but are smaller and oval and usually pale green in color. Adult brown stink bugs are long, shield-shaped insects, grayish-yellow with dark punctures on their back, and piercing, sucking mouthparts. The fourth and fifth antennal segments are darker in color. The ventral or bottom surface usually has a pinkish tinge. The body length is about a half an inch for adults. Other stink bugs that you may see in North Carolina that look similar to the brown stink bug are brown marmorated stink bug, spine soldier bug, and rye stink bug. In the top left corner of this slide is a brown stink bug. The adult brown stink bug looks similar to the other stink bugs shown here, but distinguishing characteristics of these other stink bugs can help you tell the difference between them and the brown stink bug. In the top right corner of this slide is a picture pointing out major distinguishing characteristics of the brown marmorated stink bug, such as the antennae, shoulder, and abdomen. In bottom left corner of slide is an image comparing traits of the spine soldier bug and brown marmorated stink bug. The shoulders are pointed with the soldier bug, unlike the brown marmorated stink bug, which are rounded. In the bottom right corner is an image with both the rice stink bug and brown stink bug. The adult rice stink bug measures 4/10 inches to 5/10 inches long. It has a narrow profile that forms the shield-shaped characteristic of other stink bugs. These true bugs are typically straw-colored with sharp points on the apex of the shield and a yellow triangle exhibited on the center of the shield. Some adults have gray coloring near the yellow triangle, while others may be a darker brown rather than straw-colored. However, the rice stink bug is easily distinguished from other stink bugs because of its narrower profile and lighter color than, for example, the brown stink bug. As seen here, when first laid, the eggs of the green stink bug are yellow to green rather than later turning pink to gray. The eggs are placed in clusters that appear as double rows of small barrels on and around suitable food and are usually attached to the underside of leaves. The nymphs are predominantly black when small, but as they approach adulthood, they become green and yellow or red. However, the immature stages have a distinctive pattern of whitish spots on the abdominal segments. Their bodies are oval-shaped, and they also have short and non-functional wing pads, which, once they reach the final instar, makes them look somewhat like adults. Several instars are often found together in high numbers because of the green stink bug's egg-laying behavior. Like other stink bugs, adult green stink bugs are shield-shaped with fully developed wings. They are solid light green and measure 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch in length. The head and pronotum frequently are bordered by a narrow orange-yellow line. Both adults and nymphs have piercing and sucking mouthparts for removing plant fluids. Green stink bug adults are similar in appearance to the southern green stink bug, but can be differentiated by black bands on the antennae instead of red antennal bands. Also, the shape of the stink gland pore located on the sternum between the second and third leg is short and broad in the southern green stink bug, but long and curved in the green stink bug. In North America, the southern green stink bug is limited primarily to the southeastern United States, Virginia to Florida in the east, Ohio and Arkansas in the Midwest, and to Texas in the Southwest. The female lays eggs on the undersurface of leaves in the upper portions of canopy crops and weeds. The eggs are white to light yellow in color and barrel-shaped with flat tops with a dish-shaped lid. There are 28 to 32 finger-like projections around the lid of the egg. The incubation time for the eggs is 5 days in the summer and 2 to 3 weeks in the early spring and late fall. As incubation continues, the eggs turn pinkish in color. First instar nymphs are yellowish orange to brown with red eyes and transparent legs and antennae. Coloration of the fifth star is also variable. The head, thorax, and wing pads range from light green to very dark. The abdomen is covered similar to the thorax and marked with rose and white spots. The southern green stink bug develops through 5 instars in about 32 days. Females begin laying eggs about 14 to 20 days after attaining the adult stage. The adult is shield-shaped with an overall dull green color. The eyes are dark red or black. Some black dots can be found along the sides of the abdomen. The wings completely cover the abdomen. The adults are about 1/2 inch in length, with adult males being slightly smaller than adult females. Stink bugs are important late-season insect pests of soybean seed and reduce both yield and quality by their feeding. Although grain soybeans are affected by stink bugs, seed soybeans and vegetable soybeans are more vulnerable in terms of severity and frequency of loss. Stink bugs have piercing mouthparts and feed on tender terminals, blooms, pods, and developing seeds within pods. When feeding, both adults and nymphs or immatures inject saliva into the plant, which help liquefy plant tissues for easy extraction by the bug. The salivary fluid causes direct tissue injury and also can carry yeast organisms that grow within the seeds. Feeding may also create an avenue for pathogen entry into the plant. Germination and general seed quality can be affected by stink bug feeding as seen in the image on the right. Additionally, feeding injury during early seed formation can result in aborted seeds and undersized deformed seeds as seen in the image on the left. Both the adult and immature stink bugs are found in soybean fields. Stink bugs are highly attracted to fruiting soybeans, and colonization of fields is influenced by planting date and cultivar maturity. At our latitude, there appears to be 2 generations, and damaging populations usually do not occur until at least late August unless soybeans are planted early, resulting in plants putting on pods earlier in the year like late June or into July. Stink bug nymphs are not very mobile and remain in the vicinity of the egg cluster through the 3rd growth stage. The critical time for scouting for stink bugs in soybeans is during its reproductive stages as seen in these images, especially starting at R4, which is called full pod, through R7, beginning maturity. One other critical point to remember. Scouting for stink bugs is not just something you do one time, even if you have treated for them. During these critical times for stink bug damage, R4 to R7, stink bugs need to be scouted for a number of times. Because of their mobility, even though you may have treated for them, it does not mean you will not have damaging levels again. When determining the growth stage of a field of soybeans, a field is at a given growth stage when 50% of the plants fulfill the description of the growth stage. As seen in the top left corner of the slide, a field of soybeans at R4 have pods 3/4 of an inch long at one of the 4 uppermost nodes on the main stem with a fully developed leaf. For R5, the plants have seeds 1/8 of an inch long in a pod at one of the 4 uppermost nodes on the main stem with a fully developed leaf. For soybeans at R6, they have a pod containing a green seed that fills a pod cavity at one of the 4 uppermost nodes on the main stem with a fully developed leaf. And for R7, they have one normal pod on the main stem that has reached its mature pod color. Stink bugs often occur in an uneven distribution within soybean fields. Adults move into fields from edges and therefore may be more numerous along the margins during a colonization period. Eggs are laid in masses, and after hatching, the young nymphs remain in the same area until reaching an intermediate growth stage. Because of this clumping, individual scouting samples may give artificially high or low counts of small stink bugs, but these samples may not reflect the general stink bug population in the field. As stink bugs develop into larger nymphs and adults, they move throughout the field. Adult stink bugs are strong flyers and will move to soybeans of different maturities as they enter the bloom and pod filling period. There are 3 sampling devices that can be used for stink bugs or other soybean insects. They are a beak cloth, sweet net, and rigid beak cloth. Using a beak cloth in narrow row soybeans, less than 30 inches, is not practical. In fields with rows less than 30 inches, a rigid beak cloth or sweet net must be used. The rigid beak cloth, which measures 2 feet wide by 3 feet long and 4 inches deep, making it a shallow box, is not available commercially and thus must be home built. Sweet nets should be 15 inches in diameter and strongly made. Be certain of the diameter of the sweet net purchase because you could accidentally purchase one less than 15 inches. The following description for sampling fields is for a sweet net. Each sweet net sample consists of 15 separate sweeps done continuously one after another. This is one sample. As seen in this video clip, each of the 15 sweeps per sample is made by briskly thrusting the net downward in an arc of about 3 feet and perpendicular to the plant rows. Make the sweeps from one side to the other and parallel to the ground. Vigorously thrust the net about 15 inches deep into the foliage on each sweep, with the top of the net opening even with the top of the plant canopy. Each sweep should cover 5, 3, or 2 rows of 7, 14, and 21-inch rows, respectively. While sweeping, pace down the row, taking 1 sweep per step for 15 paces. The sweeps must be vigorous enough to dislodge the insects, and a properly done sample will contain some leaves. Separate the stink bugs from the leaves and count them. Average the number of stink bugs over the samples taken and compare this average to the threshold. As for number of samples to take 10 beak cloth or rigid beak cloth samples per field, or 12 sweet net samples per field. For fields below 5 acres, 50% fewer samples may be taken. Groups of small nymphs, as seen on the left side of the slide, which has individuals less than 1/2 inch in length, should be counted as one adult, or large nymph. Large nymphs are seen in the right bottom corner of slide, which are 1/2 inch in length or longer, should be counted together with adults as seen in the top right of the slide. As seen in this table, the threshold values are for different types of soybeans, such as seed and edible, as well as grain. Row widths ranging from 7 inches to 40-inch rows, and sampling devices including beak cloth, rigid beak cloth, and sweep net. For a producer type, the thresholds for soybeans grown for grain are twice what they are for soybeans grown for seed and edible. Seed quality and viability is more critical for seed and edible soybeans, therefore the thresholds are more protective, or in other words, the threshold values are lower. For row width used, the categories are 7-inch, 14-inch, 21-inch, and 30 to 40-inch rows, with the threshold values differing as seen in the table. As was mentioned earlier, the number of rows covered in a single sweep varies according to the row width. For sampling devices, the threshold values are per row foot for the beak cloth and rigid beak cloth, and for sweep net, they are number of stink bugs per 15 sweeps, which is one sample. The beak cloth is recommended only for rows widths from 30 to 40 inches, whereas the rigid beak cloth and sweep net are recommended for row widths of 21 inches or narrower. Both of the green stink bug species are relatively easily controlled with acephate and pyrethroid insecticides, but the brown stink bug is less easily affected. Brown stink bugs should only be treated with bifenthrin or acephate at higher rates, and sometimes this does not give the desired results. Good application technique is very important when attempting to reduce stink bug abundance. 2 points to consider about the application of an insecticide are nozzle type and volume. For most insect species, a hollow cone nozzle is a good choice. Also make certain to have enough volume to penetrate the canopy where the stink bugs are at. There is a wealth of information out there about stink bugs, and a very good publication is the Field Guide to Stink Bugs. The link shown will provide you with information on how to obtain a copy. Also, the North Carolina Soybean Producers Association has an excellent publication, North Carolina Soybean Scouting and Field Guide. The link shown will provide you with information on how to obtain copies of this publication. The North Carolina Soybean Scouting and Field Guide, along with other very useful resources dealing with pest management, production, or marketing, can be downloaded at the App Store by searching NC Soybeans. Dr. Dominic has several web pages that deal with insects of soybeans, including stink bugs. Much of the information on scouting thresholds were taken from them. On the screen is a link to those web pages. Also, if you would like to see the other stink bug videos mentioned earlier or on other field crop topics, use the link shown on the screen to go to the Patch Tank CES YouTube channel. Also, you can contact your local extension center with the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service if you have questions about stink bugs in soybeans or any other crop. For those people that live in Pasquotank County, contact me, Al Wood, by calling the phone number on the screen.